You know, if you really stop a look around, the world is basically built out of lines and corners. I mean, from the screen you're looking at right now to the streets outside, angles are absolutely everywhere. But here's the cool part. They aren't random. Nope, they follow a hidden set of rules. So today, we're going to open up the playbook and really understand them.
So, what's really going on when two lines cross, or a corner gets formed? I mean, what could the angles in a window frame possibly have in common with the blades on a pair of scissors? It might seem kind of complicated, but it turns out there's a really simple, elegant pattern hiding right in plain sight.
Just take a look at this. It's just two straight lines crossing each other. So simple, but in that one little intersection, 4 different angles get created. And what's so fascinating is that they have these predictable, totally locked-in relationships with each other. They're all part of a system.
And that is exactly our goal for this explainer. By the end of this, you'll be able to spot these key angle relationships instantly. It's kind of like learning the grammar of geometry. Okay, you ready? Let's dive in.
So, we're going to start with the most fundamental idea, the one that really forms the basis for everything else. Think of this as the first, most important piece of the puzzle. First up, we've got adjacent angles. Now, the definition here has 2 super important parts. They have to share a common vertex, that's just the corner point, and they must share a common side, one of the lines that makes the angle. Both have to be true. Here's a really great way to think about it. Angle 1 and angle 2. They're like neighbors. See how they share a corner of the building? That's the vertex. And they share that wall right between them. That's the common side. It's really as simple as that.
Okay, now let's make things a little more dynamic. What happens when 2 lines actually intersect and make that classic X shape? Well, as you're about to see, this one simple action gives us 2 really important new angle pairs to work with.
And this brings us to vertical angles. Now, the name might make you think up and down, but in geometry, vertical just means they're opposite each other when 2 lines cross. But the most important word on this slide by far is congruent.
So, check it out. Angle 1 and angle 2 are a vertical pair. They're directly across from each other. And the same is true for angle 3 and angle 4. The perfect way to picture this is a pair of scissors. As you open and close them, the angle between the blades is always the exact same as the angle between the handles.
And this is the key takeaway, right here. Congruent is just a fancy way of saying they're equal. That's it. So if angle 1 is, say, 45 degrees, then angle 2 has to be 45 degrees too. They're perfect mirror images. No exceptions, ever.
Okay, so we know the angles opposite each other are equal. Got it. But what about the ones that are adjacent, side by side? What's the deal with angle 1 and angle 3 in that X shape? I mean, they're clearly not equal, but they do have their own special connection.
And that connection has a name, supplementary. So these are our friendly neighbors from before, the adjacent angles. But they have this really specific property. When you add their measurements together, you always get one particular number.
And that magic number is 180 degrees, always. If 2 angles are supplementary, you can bet their sum is 180. This is honestly one of the most useful rules in all of geometry.
And the visual clue for this one? It's impossible to miss. Look how angle 1 and angle 2 sit right next to each other on a perfectly straight line. You see, a straight line is the physical version of 180 degrees. So, if you ever see angles making a straight line together, you know for a fact they're supplementary.
And hey, here's a little trick to lock this in your brain forever. Just think S for supplementary, S for straight. If you can just remember that little connection, you will never, ever forget that 180-degree rule.
All right, on to our final angle pair. So far, we've looked at neighbors and we've looked at straight lines. Now let's focus on another shape we see everywhere, the perfect corner.
These guys are called complementary angles. And just like their supplementary cousins, they're adjacent angles that add up to a special number. But this time, instead of making a straight line, they come together to form a perfect right angle. And that number is, of course, 90 degrees. You know, the angle of a square corner, the corner of a book, where the wall meets the floor. It's that perfect 90.
You can see it right here, how angle 1 and angle 2 just click together like 2 puzzle pieces and boom, they form that classic L shape. That's your 90-degree right angle. And what that means is, if you know one of the angles, you can always find the other one just by subtracting from 90.
And here's the other half of our memory trick. It's just as easy. C for complementary stands for C for corner. So if S is for straight, that's 180, Then C is for corner. That's 90. Simple, right?
Okay, that was a lot, but we've covered all the key relationships. So let's just put it all together in one place. Think of this as your complete go-to angle spotter's guide.
And there it is, your ultimate cheat sheet. You've got your neighbors, which are adjacent, the opposites on an X, those are vertical, the ones that team up to make a straight line, supplementary, and the ones that make a perfect corner, complementary. That's it. That's the whole playbook.
And that brings us right back to the real world, because once you know these rules, I promise, you start seeing them everywhere. So seriously, take a look around you right now. The corner of your monitor, the place where the legs of a table cross, maybe the tiles on the floor. How many of these relationships can you find? The playbook is yours now. Have fun with it.